And there was a lot of scriptures about my subject tonight. I want to talk about zeal. Because without zeal in the ministry, you ain't going to get too far. You got to have zeal. And there's a lot of examples of people in the Bible having great zeal for God. They're the ones that got stuff done. So that's why I want zeal. I don't want God just to be something that's like, oh, I don't want to go to church today. And I don't want to read the Bible. And I don't want to pray. And I don't want to live right. I don't want to do good. And that's danger zone. I don't want to be in danger zone. I want to be zealous. I want to get up every day. I want to get up out of the bed in the morning because I'm excited about God. I want to get up in the morning with a mission to go help people, want to help people, and do things that God called us to do. And I think when you find yourself a job, you find yourself a ministry, that does help. And I'll get into tonight. One of the first things they teach you in ministry school, which I never did go, people might say, well, that's pretty obvious, shouldn't it? But they teach you don't talk about yourself that much because people don't want to hear about you. But tonight I might have to talk about myself a little bit because I've been zealous about so many things. And I kind of want to explain where the zeal comes from. And kind of if you put the zeal in the wrong place, what will happen to you? The fruit of putting the zeal in the wrong area. And the fruit of putting the zeal in Christianity and putting zeal in the church. And one of the worst mistakes I ever made in my life was when I shut down the faith realm. I don't know. Honestly, I don't think we would have been able to keep that building long anyway. But we should have kept the ball rolling somewhere. I should have worked a lot harder than I did. And, I had zeal for that place because I remember the kids coming in. And they wasn't kids that were normally brought up in church. Their parents weren't brought up in church. Their grandparents weren't brought up in church. And they were there. They were coming. And I would sit back behind the drum set and count people. We had a good number. We never did have a lot of adults because adults would tell me the kids get on my nerves. They said, they get on my nerves. So I can't go around me and kids. And I said, well, don't let the door hit you behind on the way out because the kids need it. And them kids we have are mean, and they definitely need it. And, so... and I remember that gave me the zeal just thinking about it. I said, you know what? If these kids don't hear about Jesus, they're going to have a real tough life. Because they had so many people all around them trying to get them into dope, trying to get half of them's parents are in jail or dead or from overdose or something. And it didn't seem like a lot of people want to reach out to them. A lot of people want to put up with them. They're real aggravating, some of them was and everything. And I had to pray hard every Wednesday. I bought some nerve like supplements at a yard sale. And I was always scared to take them, afraid it might be like dope, and I didn't want to be like taking drugs or nothing. But man, I looked at that bottle of nerve supplements every Wednesday. I said, man, should I take that? Should I take it? Because it was nerve-wracking. But we preached the gospel to them, and we planted our seeds. We done what we could do, and I think we done a good thing. And I don't really have no regrets. And I remember talking to their family members, like if I can say anything about our church, we put up with mean kids, and we tried. And I said, and that's Christ-like. I believe that's Christ is proud of us of that. And that's why, I had to mow the yard sometimes with a push mower because I cared about the place, and I couldn't keep the lawnmower. My lawnmower mechanic said, man, you could break an anvil. Said, I've never seen somebody break so many lawnmowers in my life. But sometimes I'd have to be out there with push mower. For some reason, push mowers never would tear up, so I'd have to be out there pushing my legs off in front of everybody. But I said, what's got me pushing and mowing a giant yard like that, straight up on the hill? It's gonna keep it. But anyway, I had zeal for it because I wanted the church to look good, and I would clean. People don't know. It's like sometimes people would help me clean. They'd come and vacuum and do stuff for me. But we had 52. We had more than 52 services a year. We had Wednesday night, Sundays, and Thursdays. I had to do a lot of cleaning. Like every week, I had to do a lot of cleaning. And when you serve cakes and cupcakes and candies and stuff, every service, vacuuming, sweeping, mopping, cleaning bathrooms, cleaning outside, picking up trash. I did that, and I didn't mind that because I had a purpose, and my purpose was to spread the gospel to Bean Station and mostly the kids. And because I got the thought, what would happen if I croak over dead today? You never know. Well, none of us knows how long we're going to live. While I croak over today, who's going to keep the gospel to my kids? I want the ball rolling my kids, so I'll try to look at other kids and see my kids in them. So my kids' faces on their necks, so it motivated me and keep me zealous more. But I was zealous and I loved it, and I worked hard because of it. And we never closed, and we had 4 services a week, and I just wanted to get the gospel out to people, and it was true zeal, and it was awesome. And we tell you the fruit of having a zeal for Christ, a fruit of doing a church ministry and doing things for God. You get peace that passes understanding. Like sometimes I just sit back and think, man, it's like, I really feel good. And that's another thing that gives me zeal. I want everybody to feel like that. I don't think every ministry has what this one does. This one ain't popular, but this one has peace and joy if you get into it and you understand it. You start learning the Bible, and there's something that does. Like I told you all the other day, it washes your brain. And it's just a good life. I just enjoy life, period. And I want others to do that. And that's the fruit of the zeal of working for God. And then the Bible talks about how we're going to be rewarded by our works. So we're not just doing this for nothing. We're not just doing this. And it didn't say you'll be rewarded by your results. Some of the worst preachers that ever lived on the planet, some of the worst, absolute devils hiding behind the pulpit are successful and have results. But some of the best ones that ever lived, some of the best Christians I know, couldn't hardly get a reach out to nobody. Nobody would listen to them. Nobody cared about them. They just didn't have and they worked hard as anybody else and just never could hit a lick. And I believe they will be rewarded for their effort and for what they tried. And we'll go to heaven. It might not have seemed like they accomplished much on this earth, but we'll go to heaven and we'll see them over-rewarded more than most people will. And the Bible does not say where everybody gets rewarded evenly. It says we will get rewarded according to our works. So we're building treasure not only here, but we're building treasure in heaven. And now, if you would turn me to Numbers 25, and I'm going to be off and on reading this. Like I said, there's a lot of stories about zeal in the Bible, but this one was one of my favorites because it's kind of coming up against the time that we're living in today. And the Numbers 25, I'll start verse 1. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with daughters of Moab. Imagine that. They were sleeping around, becoming whores, what the Bible calls it. That's a biblical word. You're not allowed to say it much anymore or nothing. I remember I went to church one time, and a preacher said slut, and that's all I heard for the whole year. So how dare that preacher say slut? And I'm like, well, that's because he's talking about sluts, and women should be sluts, and that's a bad thing. They've made heroes today out of like Popcorn Sutton. He was a drug dealer. He was you watch him videos of him. It's blankety blank, 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 blank. He was an outlaw. He sold moonshine. He sold liquor, and my uncle got sclerosis liver drinking his nasty liquor. And the other drug people told me, man, Popcorn was a pill dealer, drug dealer. Why is he a hero? And then we see these rock stars and movie stars, some of the worst vile human beings you ever seen in your life. Like somebody today had a big post about Janis Joplin, how she was abused, and she was a musician in the 60s. I think she was at Woodstock, wasn't she? And man, when she'd sing, she'd really give it her all. That was admirable. She put her life into it. And it was bad that she got abused at her school and people was mean to her. That's a bad thing. But what did she do? She become just a trashy woman, walk around naked all the time, sleep with every man she met, and she led Pied women to follow her. And so it's but anyway, we're reading here with the children of Israel. They begin selling the shit on, and the Moabites, man, they got good-looking women, walk around in bikinis everywhere, just like a lot of the churches today. Women's walk around in bikinis everywhere. And so they're like, man, this is good stuff. It's a good place to be. And don't think this won't affect you. Don't think it don't affect us. And they called the people to sacrifice their gods. And people didn't eat, bow down to their gods. So now they're bowing down to the Moabites' gods. And children of Israel know better. How many times have they been warned to not worship idols, to not worship other gods? And the first commandment is, "Thou shalt have no other God for me." But they like the women, Gary. They like the women, and the women like the men. They was good looking, I guess. So their religion. Who cares? We mix a little witchcraft, Harry Potter, into Christianity. It's okay. Who cares? We mix a bit of yoga and Hinduism. It's okay. That's what everybody thinks today. And they don't realize, man, that these people here were getting cursed. They got a plague. A plague was going about through the children of Israel. And it was going about through the children of Israel because of their compromise and because of their sins. And the church people don't have enough sense today. Christian people don't have enough sense today to realize, why are we all so cursed? Why are we just living in a big old fat giant curse? Because there's sin everywhere you turn around, everywhere you look. That's where the sin comes from. But that's good. We got a hero in this story. We got a hero in this chapter. And Israel joined himself with the Baal Peor. The anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. You know what that kindle means? That means it was lit up. When you kindle a fire, it means you start it up and get it going. And listen, I don't want to make God mad. I'd love to just make everybody so happy and just be so sweet. And some of my last sermons have been a lot sweeter, and I was happy to get a little break. But listen, there's danger when you step outside of God's will. The other kids might not be warned. My kids are going to be warned. You don't step outside God's will, God, or you're going to have a big fat curse. I've never seen nobody compromise and end up blessed for it. Maybe at first they have a little bit of fun. The devil will let you get a little bit of fun. But once you get your foot in that spider web, man, here he comes back. But anyway, he said, and the Lord said unto Moses, take all the heads of the people and hang them up before the Lord against the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord may be turned away from Israel. So he told Moses, I'm going to kill these people. Put all their faces toward God. I'm mad, and no way I'm going to be satisfied is death. We wonder why there's so many diseases everywhere. We wonder why so many, they said the other day, they done a big study, big report. My age people, Gary, life expectancy is not 70. My age people, life expectancy is like in the high 50s, early 60s. I'm not great, that's wonderful. And I've told people for a long time, I said, I go to more funerals people my age than I do old people. I don't go to baby boomer funerals. I go to my age people funerals constantly. So, but I know my age people they got into sin, and a lot of them stayed into sin. So we brought a big old curse on ourselves. And not everybody that died was in bad sin and I went to funerals. But as a society, as a whole, we're living in a mess. And you can Google it or AI or whatever you want to right now. They say 1 in 3 Americans has an STD. And you think it's safe to go around running around with everything. You get your good STD to live for. STD, you get married to a wife or husband, say, man, I've got this problem here. I brought it to our marriage, and we're going to have to medicate it, deal with it, and work around it. That can be avoided if you just do what you're supposed to in the first place. And now this month is Pride Month. You can go and look at statistics on the homosexuals. It's like 17 out of 20 have diseases. It's something like that. Their life expectancy is even shorter than my age people, the Gen Z or whatever I am, Generation X. Their life expectancy is like 50 years old. And I tell you, God does not bless that stuff. And the world might celebrate, but where we got? Has it blessed our world? Has it made our world better? And anyway, verse 5. And Moses said to the judges of Israel. Now this is Bible now. I'm not reading a book. I'm not reading a literature or novel. This is Bible. This is God wants us to read this so we know how he thinks. And he's even harder now in the New Testament than he is in the Old Testament. Everybody, oh, he's mean in the Old Testament. No. He said he winked at things in the Old Testament. Now everybody knows better. Now he's calling everybody to repent. And Moses said unto the judges of Israel, slay ye every one of his men that were joined unto Baal-peor. And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses, and the sight of all the congregation of children of Israel, who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And when Phineas, have you ever known anybody named Phineas? This ain't the cartoon character Ezra, Phineas and Herb. This is where the name Phineas got popular from. This is Moses' nephew. And when Phineas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw it, he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand. You know what a javelin is? It's a big old long floppy spear. Mm-hmm. And he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through the man of Israel and the woman through her belly. So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. And those who died in the plague were 24,000. So 24,000 people died because of this sin and compromising with Moabites. And in verse 10, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Phineas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, had turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, while he was zealous for my sake among them, that I consume not the children of Israel in my jealousy. Wherefore I say, behold, I give unto him my covenant of peace. And verse 13, I'd like to read the whole chapter. I'm going to stop here because I got to move on. And he shall have it in his seed after him, even the covenant of everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous for his God and made atonement for the children of Israel. And that's you used to, Gary, back in the old days. Any denomination, they preached sin so hot you couldn't hardly touch it. You couldn't hardly stand to be around it. I remember preachers back in the 90s, he would do like a Christmas play one night. And I remember that he started preaching hell hot and sin hot. And I remember everybody said, well, right now is either a good time to hit the altar or go hit the smoke break. Back then everybody had people smoke. And I remember going to the bathroom and I peeked outside and the whole back porch was full of people running from that because they was convicting them of their sin. They're like, my goodness, everybody's out there just shaking their hands, ashes going everywhere. And as they were on the altar, they ran outside the door because they preached that stuff. They weren't afraid of it. And they had a zeal for God. And listen, preaching like this, just trying to keep curse from falling. Just trying to keep the wrath of God. And listen, there's no more places to go. This is the last resort over here. This is one of the holiest places, believe it or not, in the whole entire planet. There's places all over the world where you want to have a church. They mow you down with a machine gun. Probably like 20-something countries. Like 150, 160. 20-something countries you get caught for Bible. Besides those countries. You might not get killed, but you could be put in jail or heavily persecuted. And in a lot of the countries, like they say in England now, less than 6% of people in England go to church. Think about that. All the great revivals that used to be in England. Think about all the revivals used to be all over Europe, how Christianity was so strong in Europe. It's dead, flat, dead as a doorknob now. Everybody's lost their zeal. And listen, you don't get nothing. Zero. Nothing. Christianity is not a reward system. If you got a foot in the door and foot out the door. If you're lukewarm, that is no reward in that stuff. God said He would spew you out. You lukewarm, He's ready to be hot or cold. You lukewarm, He'll spew you out. If you want to get the blessings out of Christianity, you've got to repent. And the Bible does say repent for the remission of sins. And it does not condone sin, not one place in the whole entire Bible. But you get your sins out, and you be strong, and you die to your flesh daily. You pick up the cross and follow Jesus. You'll feel good. You won't be beat to death but tempted to sin all the time, tempted with all the temptations of the world. When I was talking about zeal, what makes a lot of people zeal? One of the most Christians there was two hardcore Christians I met in the 90s. Where God delivered me from all my manic depressions and all the anxieties and all this misery and stuff I had when I was 18-year-old. I was hunting for people who had zeal like I did. I had zeal. So I was hunting, and I found a church that was on fire, and they weren't perfect. People made fun of them because they were different. And they were different because, they said, just come as you are. They taught the Bible. They were serious about God. And the pastor, though not perfect, but people that knew him told me, and he didn't tell me, people that knew him told me, they said, man, he'd wake up in the morning, and he would start praying as soon as he got up. So he'd pray at least an hour before he did anything. And then he'd get his Bible out and read his Bible for an hour. And then, boy, he was fired up, full of God. He went out knocking on doors. He went to hospitals. He went visitation. He was constantly spending his whole day inviting people to church and getting people to church. And when they got to church, because they spent so much time with God, you felt something. And you felt something because God was there. People was praying. People was zealous. And it drew other zealous people. And it was on fire. And I seen the devil fight it. And I seen sin come in and creep in. The pastor couldn't help it. He'd get leaders to come and help him, and then they'd run off a woman or run off of a man or do some kind of sin or something. Put people over the youth, and they'd mess around with the youth and stuff. And I tell you, that hurt the place. And sin crushed it. And then he ended up having to close it down, move it out of state and everything. But we lost that zeal. We lost that fireball because sin come in. And then sin don't mix with Christianity. Had another friend, zealous everybody. I tell you, if he was standing at that door at that time, everybody walked in the subway, he would tell them, hey man, church and God, and minister to them and talk to them, prayed with them. Everybody. I mean, not 100% of the people he'd come in contact with, he would talk to God, talk to them about God. He would pray with them. He'd quote scriptures to them and try to get to church. And I watched hundreds, not one or two, three, hundreds of people come to church because one guy. That's zeal. He was fearless. I want to be like that. I'm not fearless when it comes to talking to people. I don't like knocking on doors, and that's hurt me bad being a church planter. I don't like calling people. That's hurt me bad being a church planter and stuff. I know that's just where I'm weak, but the fear is what holds you back a lot. But anyway, another zealous person, Paul Grissom, he's one married, mom and dad married me and Jenny. He wasn't going around blowing a trumpet, look at me, but I catch him constantly, at least 3 or 4 times, inviting people to come to church. Like he would say somebody, hey Paul, how you doing? I'm doing good, why don't you come to church? And he'd help pick the church that was dying, the congregation was going down, and help pick the congregation up. And I looked at a picture or something of it when he was a preacher at Big Hill, and it was like almost 90 people going there when I was going there when he was pastor. And so his zeal for God done great things. And listen, where does the zeal come from? And today we talk about a thing called dopamine. When you post something on Facebook and people start hitting the like button, it gives you dopamine. Like I could post a picture of Ariel graduating or Katrina. I get a lot of dopamine, so I get a lot of like. I'll put something about the Bible or scriptures or church, so I don't get much dopamine out of that because people don't care today. But, and people get hooked on that. And a lot of people, they get on that, they just work on the TikToks and they work on the Facebooks and the other ones and just sit and post stuff all day. Because the reaction gives them dopamine, so that gives them zeal. And mom and dad, out of wisdom, they were school teachers when I was growing up. And when I was Ezra's age, I wasn't really allowed to go out and do a whole lot because they knew everybody, 100% of the kids I was growing up with was meaner than a snake. So I was pretty much stuck at home, which is fine. So I liked watching wrestling. So I watched wrestling to something. I like toys, I like wrestling, I like stuff, colorful characters, I like things like that. I don't know where it come from, but I think it started with commercials when I was a kid. Mom and Dad said I didn't watch the TV shows much, but I'd watch a commercial. But if it was a cereal, they had character to it. Every cereal had character. The Michelin Man, the tires, you know, most boring thing in the world, had a character, big old roly-poly. If you bought flour, it had the Pillsbury Doughboy. Everything had a character to it. It was cool. Sunday morning cartoons were cool. So I like characters, and I liked wrestling. I watched wrestling. And then when I got older, you know, I like to be a promoter. I like to be a boxing promoter. So I like boxing. And I just got something in me. It's always want to try stuff and do stuff, you know. And it ain't going away. The older I get, it seems like the worse it gets. But what got me, and then finally, I was like, you know what, I can't get in. I heard all my co-workers talk about wrestling constantly. I'd already been out of way a long time by this. I said, you know, I could be a wrestling promoter. And it hit me, boom. So I started getting into it, meeting one famous guy, another famous guy, another famous guy, another famous guy. I'm growing up watching these guys on TV. I was like a normal person meeting Chuck Norris, and then meeting Bruce Lee, and then meeting Clint Eastwood. And that's what I was doing. I was meeting all these guys. And that put something, dopamine in me, got me zealous. And then I bought me a ring, and I put it on shows, and in Rutledge, you see, Gary, nobody responds to nothing in Rutledge. I mean, you can sit out here and have Elvis, open it up for Michael Jackson, and give everybody a $100 bill, nobody'd show up. But I would put a ring in the school up here, and hundreds of people would show up. And I'd have the worst wrestlers sometimes, because sometimes we'd have to do free shows, I couldn't pay them, so I'd have the worst. Still, people showed up. Everywhere I put a ring up, we had a crowd. And people liked it, they had a good time, they cheered and booed. And so I got more zealous and zealous. I had a TV show, went to 27 counties. People don't realize, I had a TV show almost a year in Knoxville. Nobody's been able to do that since. Nobody done it before me until the 90s, and even they couldn't keep it going on long. They kept it on like 1 or 2 years, and nobody done it before them for about 10 years. But that was a hard thing to accomplish. Not many people accomplished it. And people thought that my success of drawing people, men on TV, come from just luck. It wasn't. It was from zeal and working. But I learned something during all that mess. It wasn't getting me nowhere. It wasn't going to get me nowhere. It didn't give me peace. It didn't give me joy. My house was tearing apart. I never had no money. I had to wear the same shoes every day for like 3 years. Like, you know what? This zeal's get me nowhere. It got me away from God. It got me away from the ministry. It got me away from everything. And I get back into ministry. You know what happens? Peace, joy comes back. Happiness comes back. I say, all right, I've got to stay in this realm right here. I've got to stay here. I can't leave this, because this is where, but I got to get zeal. My zeal's been up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. It's so much better when you got zeal for God. And a couple of years ago, we made a video. We got to be on the number one of the top podcasters in the world, H3H3. They made fun of Ariel and made fun of Ezra. And the music video was really bad. And then we got to be on another famous podcaster. He's one of the most famous in the world, and the first thing he did, start making fun of Ariel, make fun of Ezra. And it was cool. You get your dopamines from that. But there's no peace in joy. I didn't want to pursue that my whole life. I've had some viral videos on YouTube, non-Christian related, not sinner, but not Christian. And you get dopamines when you look over 1 million people watch your video and tens of thousands hit like. But it didn't bring me no peace and joy or nothing, so I didn't want to pursue that. Even though it was kind of cool, it was cool. You know, I made some viral memes that went viral, hundreds of thousands of people. Those were Christian, and that was cool. And I should have probably pursued that. But I remember one guy had a big Facebook page. He started sharing my memes, like one of the biggest ones for it. He got shadow banned. And he showed me, he said, look how many people. He said, almost 1 million people have seen this meme that you made. And I'm like, man. You know, I did feel pretty good. I did have I did have good dopamines. That did make me zealous. That did get me going. And you know, we got to keep a zeal. This building right here, we first got it, I was zealous because I hadn't had a building in a long time. I've been waiting for it. Finally got it. Tore that wall down. Hated every second of it. It was such a pain to take away wires and screws out of the floor and beat the wall down, turn it to this stage right here. But you know what? Just the lack of people kind of coming just kind of killed my zeal for the building. I don't really like the building much anymore. I like the church. I like the ministry. I feel better. I'm more zealous about the ministry. I just don't care much about the building anymore because if people was coming, I'd paint the bathroom, I'd paint the lights outside, and I wanted to buy more signs to try. But you know what? It kills your zeal when people don't respond to things. But careful when they respond to things that are bad. You know, a lot of girls in school I watched, you know, a boy wouldn't give them a second look, wouldn't call them, wouldn't talk to them, nothing. They start sleeping around, every boy in school starts talking to them. They get excited, oh, now I'm getting kissing. Like you're getting the wrong kind of attention for the wrong thing for the wrong time. You all know Mr. Beast, the Facebook guy, most famous YouTube guy. What got him so zealous that he just spent all his time? He said when he got rich, he bought a bunch of stuff and got robbed and said, you know what? I hope I don't get nothing else because it's taking my time away from YouTube. So he said he just lives in an empty building, poor, like, you know, he's not poor. If he wants to go out to eat, he can afford go every day, all day, and buy what he wants to buy. But he said his house is empty because he wants to keep his mind on YouTube. What got him there? What got him wanting to live like that? He started making videos when he was young, and one of his first videos went viral. And that gave him the dopamines, that zeal. And he took it and he ran from it. And I tell you, there's something about success that gives you dopamines. When I had 3 restaurants, gas station, fed 2 factories twice a day, the eBay store, you know why I was so zealous? Boy, that was zeal. That wasn't, people don't do the stuff like that in that quick a time. You know what about the zeal? Having almost 50, 60 people a day bragging on the food, having 50, 60 people a day asking come to their town, having 50, 60 people a day, talking about how much they like the place. That's what we still get it every day. That brought me zeal. But I learned that I'm not Ray Kroc, I'm not Sam Walton. That's not my calling in life. I need one place and put all my zeal into that instead of trying to spread it out everywhere. I learned, but good lesson learned. Next time I'll be as solid as a rock. But that zeal, that's what motivates you. Everybody says, why is he being so stupid for? Money coming in the bank. You know, getting almost $1 million in my bank for a year. That gave me zeal, you know, so that's where that comes from. But be careful you get zealous of things that are ungodly. Always keep your zeal for God. Always keep working hard for the Lord. What got me into music? I had a friend, I always loved music, I was a fan. Ezra told me one time, he said, I just want to be a fan. I don't want to be a musician, I don't want to be a singer, I just want to be a fan. Well, that's what I was a fan. I knew I didn't have a whole lot of musical talent. I knew I wasn't born with that great gift like a lot of people in my family were. But I loved it. I loved music. And I had a friend that was excellent. And I always dreamed of being a rock star. And he's like, you know, we could do a talent show at school and play in front of 1,000 people. I said, there we go. So I scraped up change. I had my license at the time, but I wouldn't drive to school or nothing. I would go to the car, wash up for change that people left. I'd steal all Dad's change. He'd leave out on the table. I'd steal all it. And I mean, I was doing everything I could to get money. And so I could buy me a drum set because I wanted to ride his coattail because I thought he was going to do something. And when I started playing, we played in front of 1,000 people. I went from, who's that know me, to everybody looking at me, nodding. I felt like a rock star, at least for a week or two. And I was like, man, this is cool. So it gave me the dopamine to try to keep learning. But eventually it fizzled down, you know, and I thought, well, you know, I'm not a great of a drummer. I don't see myself traveling the world playing drums, so I don't need to make it my life or nothing. But I got excited about guitar because I want to play guitar the last couple of years or so. And you know, that's why I want to play in church because I wanted people like our music. I want to do different songs. I want to learn different songs. The only reason I sing is hoping to get Jenny singing and she has sung more. I want to get Ezra singing, Ariel singing, Shelby singing. I want to get everybody singing. That's why I'm doing it, just to try to start it, get it started and everything. That's why it gave me the zeal for that. And you know, another story, and I'll end this on me, you know, I'm going to get the Bible and I'll wrap this up. But I was going to the gym. I watch videos of myself now. My man, I am built awful. My stomach's big, my chest is shrunk, I ain't got no shoulders, my head's get bigger. I said, oh. Then I look at pictures of me last year. I started early August going to the gym, maybe late July, every day. I went every day, and I would tan. I was a dad used to have a tan. He's blacker than that chair, and I love that. I always want to have tan like that. I can tan like him too. So I was going to tan bed almost every day, working out every day. And I look at pictures after, you know, from October, you know, so it's late July, working out every day to October. I was looking at pictures and I said, man, I look good. I look real good. I said, man, I got to get back to that. But what got me out working out every single day? And I tell you, that's why we got to be careful. Because stuff will steal your zeal for doing the right thing. I should have stayed in the gym. I regret not. It's not that we make it our life or nothing, but we need to take care of ourselves. And I like looking good. I like people walking by me going, making faces when they look at me and stuff. But what got me out of that? Well, I like going to daytime. There's 100,000 people. The one I go to daytime. Or even a regular evening. I like going late at night. And there was this guy that I went to school with. He was mean. He'd get girls drunk and rape them. He'd beat people up, weak people, not tough people, weak people. He'd steal. He was a drug dealer. He was just a rude, mean person. He didn't say one mean thing to me while I was going to the gym. He nodded his head and said, hey, he was nice. But he was rude to other people there, and he's ugly people there, and he was there every single night. I was like, you know what? I just don't want to be around this guy. I think I'll go late in the night where there ain't nobody there. So I was going late in the night, liking it pretty good. That child molester guy who started hanging out there. And I'm like, man, I don't want to see a child molester when I'm going out working out. So I just quit going, period. And then Belly Big and chest rings, I was arm skinny again, everything. And I'm like, man, I lost that zeal because I could have had a gym in my house, and I've been cleaning my basement because my weight bench was the clothes holder. My shed's so full from equipment that I can't work out. And I tell Tyler's got back into working out again. He's getting bigger. Tyler's been like a basketball. He inflates and deflates all the time. I mean, you'll see him one time he's skinny, got no muscle. Next time you see him, he's muscular. Next time you see him, he's fat. I'm like, Tyler, every time I see you, you're within 50 pounds difference. He's always been like that. I've had a lot of friends like it, but zeal. David had zeal for God that killed the Goliath. That's why he fell in some bad, ugly sin. He paid for it. But he repented because he loved God enough that, he had to put that stuff behind him, and he did. And that's why the Bible said he had God, it was after God's own heart. The disciples, they had zeal. That's why they went out and faced danger and death. Or when Paul the Apostle, he had zeal. He had zeal to kill Christians. He wasn't a Jeffrey Dahmer, Freddy Krueger murderer. His job was to execute those who brought blasphemy amongst his people, the Jewish people, and that's what he did. That was his job. He was an executioner, and he had a lot of zeal because he thought Christianity was from the devil, and it was trying to destroy things from God. So what did he do? He had zeal to stop it, and then God intervened and changed him, and he got saved, and he started living for God. He put his zeal into living for God, and he accomplished more than probably any Christian ever had. Jesus Christ had zeal. He'd wake up every day ministering. Said every day he was in the temple preaching and teaching. He was healing people, casting out devils. He was walking all over. He didn't have nothing. He said he didn't even have a place to lay his head just so he could go out preaching and stuff. And I would love to be able to one day just not have to worry about anything. And like I'm trying to I hide all my wrestling stuff, moving all my wrestling so I don't see it. I don't want to see it, don't think about it. Blocked all the pages on Facebook. I block all this stuff. I quit listening to music. I don't listen to it, block it all because I want to have zeal for God. Because I know God is where the blessings is. I know that's where your best life is. I know that best for the life. I can travel the world, pack stadiums, and play music, sing. I could be a wrestling champion, had action figures made of me. I could be the best drummer in the world doing all this stuff. It wouldn't have nothing. It felt as good. Even doing what little bit I'm doing right now feels much better than all that. So I'm trying to kill it all, so I just have zeal for God because that's what's important. Getting people saved. And when you all like to see this place like it was at Bean Station, and you guys got to help get some young kids here. We won't be mean. We'll try not to embarrass you, not on purpose anyway. You can tell I'm a lot better here than I am at home sometimes. And I will try to be better at home too, because we need to work this town. I knew it'd be difficult, I knew it'd be hard, but and I don't, I just pray for zeal, keep our zeal up. All right, Gary, you care pray us out, please.
All right, thank you, Lord.